So, I've been wanting to do this video for a while now after fully completing my Blasto playthrough for the PS1. Bunch of shit got in the way of that, and my general interest waned slightly. I wasn't sure how I was going to tackle this type of video until now. Now please take note, this is not a full review. If you want a full review, if you want me to go in depth or whatever, then please bug somebody like Some Call Me Johnny for a versus on it, because you're not getting that shit here. I'm going to offer my thoughts, and I'm going to offer it in this format. Hopefully you like it. If you don't, whatever. If you don't give a shit, I don't blame you. Like, this game is obscure. Not a lot of people give a shit about it, and for many good reasons. But I'm going to talk about what I liked about the game in my playthrough, and then I'm going to talk about what I didn't like about the game in my playthrough, because I have history with this game and I recently finished it on this channel. So it was inevitable that I was going to talk about it. I just waited too goddamn long to do it. Let's get into the first bullet point here. The music is pretty dynamic and catchy at times. I like what they did here. Like, it's a very cool idea to have like 3 versions of the track that's playing in the level and play depending on what's going on in the situation. Like, if Blasto's not doing anything and just running down an empty corridor, the level's music gets very suspenseful. Like, it's very suspenseful and quiet. Like, it makes you think that something's gonna happen, but right now you seem pretty safe. Then when an enemy spawns, for at least I think a second or two, or rather, let's say, an enemy spawns in your area but you don't know or you don't see it, the music starts picking up. Like, it starts picking up and it, like, you know, has a little bit of energy to it, but it's not very cinematic. It's just, like, you know, catchy all of a sudden. Like, you know something is around. And then the music gets very cinematic, like incredibly dramatic. Like, you know, oh shit, danger, 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 when, you know, you're being swarmed by a bunch of enemies. I like that. I like that little idea that they did there, and many other games do that today. I don't know if they took note from Blasto, but I've always liked that idea, and I wish more platformers did that shit. That's one of the things that I like right there. In fact, the music that you're hearing now in the background is from Episode 7, Alienville, which is probably one of the most linear levels in the entire game. Like, it's got a sweet fucking tune though. Like I can't lie. Like, when I first heard that shit, man, I was like, wow, I did not expect that. Didn't expect a level like this to have some fucking banging ass, slapping ass music, but it does. Right now you're listening to the no danger music, where you're just like standing around doing nothing while nothing's happening, and you know, the music kind of just ends from there, and then everything's silent until something happens. Whatever. The second thing I want to talk about is how the charm left an impression on me. And what I mean by that is, no matter what experience I had with this game, good or bad, like, this game is really charming, and a lot of people seem to love it. Like, there are people that don't give a fuck about it, there are people that hate it, but there are also people that are just like in the comments like, why don't they make a fucking remake of this game? Like, I used to love this game when I was a kid, and I did too. Like, I used to love this game as a kid because it was very cartoony. It knew what the fuck it wanted to be. It knew what it was gearing it to. And, like, the way it presented itself, it just, like, screamed a game that wasn't taking itself too seriously. It wanted to be fun. It wanted to be fun, and that shit sticks with you. Like, it's very nostalgic. Like, it's one of those, like, it's a 90s as fuck game. And one of the main reasons why it's so goddamn charming is because of Phil Hartman's voice acting. It is so on fucking point, and he's not even at 100% here. This is one of those obscure projects that he was doing, and it turned out that 2 weeks after that, he got murdered by his wife. So it's really eerie to think about. He's such a fucking legend that him going at 50% is still better than most of the voice actors doing their 100% in some of these PS1 games that are considered classics. Considered better than this fucking game. Like, you notice it just from playing the game that Phil Hartman does have some funny one-liners here and there. Hell, even today, some of those one-liners, I mean, they've aged gracefully. Like, they still make me laugh here and there. It's like, I was like, god damn, man, the world fucking misses you. You would have been a great Captain Quark if you were still alive. Hell, you would have been a great fucking Zap Brannigan if you were still alive. But, you know, that's how things go. This is one of those projects where you just like play it just to remember Phil Hartman. Like, that was probably the biggest selling point for this game is, oh, guess what? The protagonist, the guy that you're controlling, is voiced by Phil Hartman. He's voiced by that guy from The Simpsons. He's voiced from those villains that he plays on the Saturday morning cartoons. That dude. Yeah. That fucking Saturday Night Live guy. And he's a funny man. He really is a funny man. You know, that's a damn good thing to have on this game's resume, is the fact that you pulled in Phil Hartman and you were able to have him do some voice acting, which is always good, no matter what. Even if he phones it in, even if he's not doing his best work, he's not putting out his best jokes and shit, it's still charming as hell. And it still shows just how talented he truly is. And may he rest in peace. And before I talk about this, I want to just make it known that every last bullet point is going to be geared towards what I think about my playthrough, whereas every bullet point before that is going to be toward the game itself. And I only have one thing for this. The fact that I completed it makes me feel accomplished, okay? I'm happy that I could complete this shit, and I didn't slack off. I didn't fucking procrastinate. Like, despite the shit that I was going through in this entire playthrough, and the shit that I was going through in real life, it didn't stop me from finishing what I wanted to finish. So I feel glad that I was able to do so with the technology that I have. I mean, most people would think that I would say, you know, the best part about Blasto is the fact that it's over. But, you know, I don't want to sound too pessimistic. That's where we're going into this next part, is because there's going to be nothing but critiques and pessimism here. There's a lot of shit to hate about this game, whereas there are some things to love about it. Because sadly, the cons far outweigh the pros here. The first thing I want to talk about of what I did not like about this game is the fact that the story is non-existent and cookie cutter. I don't need to say anything else there. If you think about a space-themed shoot 'em up, where you're like shooting aliens and saving babes and shit, what do you think the story is going to be about? I want you to give a very educated guess before I just start spoiling it here for you. And I'm going to give you 3 seconds. Alright, time's up. Basically, the story is you start the game, you're given a tour through Bossk the Terrible's fortress. That's the antagonist, the villain. You're given a tour through his fortress, and then you're in this fucking rally, this big throne room where you're just like, he is rallying his troops to invade Uranus or Earth or whatever. Like, it's really inconsistent. But either way, he's gonna try to take over the solar system and do all sorts of bad villainy shit because he's the bad guy. So that cutscene's over. You're introduced to Blasto in his fucking spaceship, and his captain calls and tells him, yo, Blasto, shit's going down. We need your help. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. And that's it. That's literally it. You don't hear about the story for the rest of the entire fucking game. And it's like there's just no depth to it, like, at all. But I feel like this has more to do with the fact that the game knows what it wants to be. I'm pretty sure story wasn't priority here. It was just there because they had to have it. They had to have some sort of story, just like Crash Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot stories aren't really deep, but those games usually let the gameplay do the talking, and I'm pretty sure they wanted to go in that direction. And while that's an admirable thing to do, sadly, the gameplay doesn't really do much of the talking either. And we're gonna start with the fact that the controls suck massive fucking dick. Like, they suck so bad. Holy fuck, man. I thought people were exaggerating with that shit. Like, I thought they were just fucking bad. I was about to get on this motherfucking comms and say, get good. But after playing that shit, like, it's bad, man. It's horrible. You are talking about a space shoot 'em up platformer, and your character controls like a tank. It controls like a big, slow, clunky fucking tank. And his turning is absolutely inconsistent, because sometimes he'll turn wide, and other times, for no reason, he'll turn sharp right into a wall. So, good luck going down a fucking corridor with narrow walls, because you are going to be hitting them bitches every single time. The controls sucking dick wouldn't be so bad if the level design wasn't monotonous and, you know, completely counteractive to the controls itself. Like, I shit you not, the level design is so boring and it wasn't built around this shit. The way to beat every level, it's pretty fucking simple. You go in a level, you shoot up some aliens, you're supposed to unlock some force field with switches and shit, and along the way you want to save babes. And these levels are designed with a whole ton of fucking bottomless pits and moving platforms and skinny ledges that you have to walk around. And with this control scheme in mind, you're going to be dying a fuck ton of lot. If you're not dying a lot, you're being put to sleep by the fact that the level design is so fucking like straightforward and basic. Hit a switch here, open up this area. Hit a switch there, open up that area. Hit a switch there, you've opened the exit, there's the fucking teleporter, go in. And the game doesn't even tell you that sometimes you have to backtrack if you want to get everything. Like hell, even the first level does that shit to you already. Where, you know, you get to the end and you're compelled to just, you know, go in the thing. But wait, no, you're supposed to turn back because it turns out that you go back to the area that you just killed enemies in. You know, you're supposed to ride a jetpack so you can save that other babe that you find in the first part of the level that you can't help. It's a whole lot of backtracking to complete a level, and it's just so fucking needless because completing it really doesn't offer you anything, though I'm gonna get to that point much later on. So the level design is monotonous and not built around anything that the controls offer you. It's like, I mean, like, it goes from boring to just downright frustrating. Like, up to the 4th level, they take that shit up to the next level, where instead of like having to go to new areas of the same level to hit a switch, like those new areas that you have to go to turn out to be separate levels themselves with their own like number of enemies that you have to kill and their own special fucking obstacles that you have to deal with. So it's like the controls and the level design are like just so stupid. We're not even at the worst parts here, because it only gets fucking worse from here. The difficulty spike goes from 0 to 100 as early as level 2. And what I mean by that is that the first level is relatively tame and easy. Once you fight with the controls and shit and figure out what you're gonna do or figure out what you have to do, it's pretty damn easy to just finish that level quickly, whether you want to kill all the enemies and save all the babes or not. But as soon as you get to level 2, you start to realize that you have like what, 3-4 separate fucking pathways that you have to go to. 3 of them are locked out, and like already you're climbing shit. You're jumping across a fucking platforming nightmare, and the number of enemies that are in this fucking stage are like already over, it's almost at 150 already. So this game likes to throw a ton of enemies at you, and they spawn based on what you're doing and where you're at and what you've killed before. Sometimes they'll spawn if you pick up a special weapon. Sometimes they'll spawn if you pick up a health item. Sometimes they'll just fucking spawn if you go into an area that you haven't gone to before, or you go back to an area that you have gone before but just in a different direction. I lost my shit with that in episode 8, I'll tell you right now. Fuck that spire and fuck that strip of land that was on there, because I missed one fucking enemy off that shit. Just one. You'll be experiencing that shit a lot. And the difficulty spike isn't just limited to the enemy's placement or the enemy's spawn rate, but rather it's also connected to the fact that the enemies get stronger and the platforming challenges get more ridiculous. Because I don't know how the hell this game expects you to do so many of these crazy fucking tight platforming with the clunky tank controls that you have. Like, some of these fucking jumps are just like not possible without an analog stick. So if you don't have analog control, then you're probably not going to finish the game. You have 4 lives every fucking game. You have 4 lives every game, and you have 3 continues. While that may seem pretty plentiful to have like at least like 12 lives just to start out, once you go through those lives, you burn the continue and you get 4 more lives. But once you go through all that shit and you game over, you gotta start back to your save position. Which, by the way, you gotta save by finding save points around the level. And some of these save points can be in really bastard fucking locations. Like little skinny fucking platforms, or in areas where it's like awkward for Blasto to grab onto a ledge, because 50% of the time he'll grab it and 50% of the time he won't. And that's gonna go into our next point here, the inconsistencies of how objects and ledges interact with Blasto. This game has some glitches attached to it. Like, it is possible to speedrun this game just by glitching the fuck out of it. Like, this game has some pretty goddamn miserable coding. And I don't know why. Like, it's a goddamn shame, but it's like, you know, what can you do? So the inconsistencies here are the fact that, I mean, like I said, Blasto will grab onto a ledge, or sometimes he will. When you jump on, you know, near the edge of something, intending for him to grab on it, he won't grab on it, and you'll fall to your death. The prime queen of the pain in the ass design is Episode 8, where you can not only strafe off the ledge and die, but some of these fucking spires, you can't grab onto him because Blasto just doesn't grab onto him. You jumped in the wrong spot, it didn't register, he hugs the fucking platform while he falls down to his death. It's one of the most aggravating experiences, and whatever lives that you have built up, you're going to be draining them bitches real fast. Like, it's just so stupid. I wouldn't be so pessimistic if I'd gotten something out of all this. So I forgot to mention that I'm on the next point here. Diminishing returns for playing the game 100% are incredibly diminished. So completing the game really doesn't give you much. You get all the enemies in a level and you're rewarded with an extra continue. That's it. That is all you get for killing almost, 251 enemies sometimes? Having to backtrack 500 times in a row just to find that one spot where that one enemy will only spawn if you're in that spot. All for an extra continue with 3 more lives. Or 4, who knows. I forget. You get more lives to work with, and if you're good at this game, chances are you'll never go through any of those continues unless you're at the final boss. And it's like, once you get all the babes in the game, you can unlock that room. There will be a cutscene of Blasto going in there, fraternizing with the women, and then getting kicked out, and now he's playing in his underwear. So you get to play the rest of the game in your underwear, and it doesn't affect anything. Like, it doesn't make you any stronger, it doesn't make you any weaker. It changes the ending, it changes the transition of the intro of the boss a little bit, but not by much. It only changes like one piece of dialogue, and it's just like smooth sailing from there after that. When you finish the game, you get to view babes and, you know, enter in cheat codes. But cheat codes really, like that's really the only fun part about the game, is entering cheat codes, and you're still gonna have to search the internet for what they do. Hell, one of the cheat codes don't even fucking work. That's how sad it is. So you really don't get much. You get to view polygonal asses, but that's about it. I mean, like, you feel accomplished from playing a game that's really hard, but the game itself doesn't really give you a reason to fucking replay it once you've completed it, because you already know what to do, and you've already gone through that mess. So fuck it, you know? Like, just fuck it. I shouldn't have completed it 100%. I should have just played through the entire game. Would have been here less longer, wouldn't have wasted so much time and patience from doing it. But that's just how it is. So one last bullet point that I'm gonna bring up here relating to my playthrough. My presentation and diction were amateurish and awkward. And I say that because my ass don't know how to talk into a mic without stuttering. And I literally presented it like I was an amateur, like someone who's never done it before. So, I mean, if you were expecting Markiplier tier shit, if you were expecting that, I mean, I'm sorry to say, you played yourself, buddy. You ain't getting that out of me. Hell, if anything, you turn on that video so your ass can go to sleep because my voice is soothing to you. That's it. I do want to work on this and like improve myself as far as diction is concerned, because when I'm talking I get really sidetracked, and having to try to talk over a game like this where the game is throwing a ton of shit at you and sometimes the levels are so boring that you have nothing else to talk about, it's really challenging. It's a challenging first game to play, and everything else that I play here is probably smooth sailing. So now we're gonna actually get to our third actual big point here. Can I recommend this game to anyone, and do I think it's good or bad? Now, I can recommend this game to you if you're like curious and if you just want to try it out. But if you listen to everything I've said, you've got an idea that I'm not going to recommend this game to you, because this game will piss you off. 9 times out of 10, it will frustrate the fuck out of you. And because of that, I really can't say that it's a good game. It's not the worst game in the entire world. It's not fucking Bubsy tier. God, no. There are some good things that this game does. But sadly, the cons far outweigh the pros here. And unless you're curious about Phil Hartman's last project, if you want to hear his voice acting in one-liners, and if you're just a morbidly curious fucker who wants to play this game, then go right the fuck on ahead and do it. I won't stop you. But I warned you that this game really does deserve the vitriol that it gets sometimes. Sometimes this game just ain't fair, you know? And this game is just this is an old PS1 game, so obviously it still had that old sort of Nintendian feel to it, where it's hard as nails game, don't tell you shit, they just throw you in and you start playing. And you just gotta figure everything out yourself. Yeah. My mother needed a fucking strategy guide to finish this game, so that says a lot. Now I'm going to talk about the future games that I want to play, and it's probably going to be in this order. I'm going to try to play Crash Bandicoot, followed by Voodoo Vince, followed by Shantae the Half Genie, followed by Sonic. I'll probably think of something else. I did want to play Ratchet and Clank as well, but that's gonna take a lot of fucking fiddling with the fucking capture card and all that shit. We'll get to it when we get to it, I suppose. But a lot of the shit that I'm gonna be doing is gonna be played on my PC. It's gonna be played on emulators. Hopefully I get to it. Hopefully I stick to this whole uploading schedule, and I have the motivation to just post videos despite all the shit that people are saying about YouTube. Chances are I might get fucking struck for no reason, but I'm not gonna let that stop me. So yeah, in conclusion of all this, game sucks. Don't play it unless you're morbidly curious. The reason why I play it is because, like I said, it's a childhood favorite of mine. Only someone like me would love this. But who knows? I might be proven wrong. Maybe somebody might actually play this game and like it. And if it's because of me, hey, you're welcome, I guess. Sorry I put you through all that. But this game is obscure for a reason, and it's better off not receiving a remake. If you're gonna remake a game like this, you might as well just really remake the fuck out of it. It might as well just be a brand new fucking IP. Anyway, that's all I have to say about the Blasto playthrough. It's been a blast, and I'll probably make another one of these after I finish my next game, whenever I do that. Anyway, peace out.